The cafe was the kind of place where time slowed down. Warm light spilled from hanging lamps. The air smelled of roasted beans and cinnamon, and the rain outside tapped softly against the glass. I was there early, fingers wrapped around a mug I didn't really need, waiting for my best friend at least. That's who she was supposed to be. Mai arrived 10 minutes late, cheeks flushed from the cold, her dark hair slightly damp. She smiled when she saw me. That familiar smile that always lingered a second too long. "Sorry," she said, sliding into the chair across from me. "Traffic? No worries," I replied, though my heart had already started its familiar race. Being alone with her always did that. We met through mutual friends years ago and somehow became inseparable. Movie nights, shared secrets, late-night phone calls. Everyone knew us as just friends. Even we did. Or at least, that's what we told ourselves. But lately, something had shifted. There were lingering glances, accidental touches that didn't feel accidental at all. At first, we talked about ordinary things, work, a new cafe opening down the street, the rain that refused to stop. Yet beneath every word was a tension, a feeling that we were both circling the same unspoken thought. "You've been distant," Maya said suddenly, stirring her coffee even though she hadn't added any sugar. I looked up. I didn't realize. She laughed softly, a sound that always calmed me. "You did. You always do." The silence that followed felt heavier than before. I watched her fingers on the cup, memorizing the curve of her hand, the tiny freckle near her thumb. My chest tightened with unspoken words. "Meyer," I said, and then stopped, unsure of what came next. She met my eyes, her expression gentler now. "What is it?" I took a breath, letting it out slowly. "Do you ever wonder whose friend we actually are to each other?" Her eyebrows lifted slightly in surprise. Then she smiled, a slow, careful smile that reached her eyes. All the time, suddenly, the world outside the cafe seemed to fade away. The rain blurred into streaks against the window, and the low hum of conversation around us dissolved into nothing. It felt like the moment right before a storm breaks or before something beautiful begins. "I'm scared," I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. "Of changing things." "I know," she said quietly. "So am I. But I'm more scared of pretending nothing is there." Her hand reached across the table, stopping just short of mine. The small space between us felt electric, charged with years of unsaid feelings. I closed that distance, my fingers brushing against hers. She didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed my hand gently. "I think," she whispered, her voice soft but certain, "we stopped being just friends a long time ago." My heart pounded against my ribs. The cafe suddenly felt too small, too intimate, too honest for the conversation we were finally having. I stood up, pulling her gently up with me. Without a word, we stepped outside under the awning, the rain still falling softly around us. We stood close, our breath mingling in the cool air. Maya searched my face, as if asking for permission one last time. I nodded, barely aware of the movement. When she kissed me, it was tender at first and certain, like we were learning a new language together. Her lips were warm, familiar, yet entirely new. The world tilted on its axis. My hands found her waist, and hers rested against my chest, right over my racing heart. The kiss deepened, still gentle, still careful, but filled with everything we'd never been brave enough to say. Years of friendship were transforming into something softer, braver, and infinitely more honest. When we finally pulled apart, we were both smiling, a little breathless. "So," she said, laughing quietly, "whose friend were we again?" I brushed my thumb along her cheek, feeling the warmth of her skin. "I think we're something better." The rain continued to fall, and the cafe glowed behind us like the place where our story truly began, not as friends, but as two women who finally chose to stop pretending.